Paul Brown said to me, son, act like you've been there before. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I just barely got on the field. I hadn't been there before. So
I'm glad to be part of that trend. You know, sun's out, guns out.
How about Isaac Curtis on one side, Charlie Joyner on the other side? A lot of quarterbacks were very envious that I had those two weapons to throw to. But
now, wait a minute. Is it fair that Pat McInally is still the sexiest guy on our team? Is that?
You got me there. You got me good.
Solid. How you gonna be in that video not represent with a chain? Your tango, man. I got mine on. I'm ready to go.
Oh, that's great. That's priceless.
There are two guys that I think it's a travesty that are not in that Hall of Fame.
Ken Riley and Ken Henderson. Yeah, sure.
Put the backdrop on, Jamie. See if Marissa's okay with it.
Yeah, I got her backdrop. Starting the Canadian fan club up here for you.
That is so funny.
My last touchdown, and that's what Joe Burrow's going to end up like if they don't start protecting his ass. It's going to be the next David Klingler. David Klingler.
There's no Spanish-speaking people here, very few. So we, fast forward, we go to the Super Bowl in Miami, and the word was the Bengals have two big Mexican offensive linemen. They don't know how to speak Spanish. So I got down there and started doing these interviews in Spanish, and they're like, "Wait, we heard you don't speak Spanish."
What's going on, fellas? What's going on? But I got on the plane one day in an all-red Suge Knight suit. And boy, Joe Walters and the linemen, they destroyed me. I thought for sure I was so clean. I had some gaiters on, all red suit on. I was Suge Knight. They roasted me.
The head coach was the really the pain in the butt. The Jerry Glenn, he was thought he was. If you didn't know who he was, he walked out there like he owned his state. And I always say, if I could get a chance to hit him on the sideline, I would.
I'm tackling your ass, Pete. I'm shoestring low on you.
But I got to tell you, you would have been stepped on, son. You would have had cleats everywhere.
Well, I'm proud to be a Bengal. Yes, I'm proud to be a Bengal again. I got nothing from you guys.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Talking Football with Bengal Jim and Friends. And, guys, what a wild freaking week in Bengal land with free agency. What an outstanding week.
No, yeah, it's a good time to be a Bengals fan. Started off a little slow. We were a little worried. I know we had a little group chat between all of us guys on the show, wondering when things were going to happen, but it was nice to see a flurry of activity.
Yeah.
A little worried day one, as I recall us talking. It was panic, and then this was the end of the world. But a really strong day two. Hats off to the Bengals management. They came on strong the rest of the week, and we've got an improved team.
Absolutely. I think we upgraded across the board there. Maybe we're not done. So we're going to dig into that tonight for sure. We've got back up a little bit. So what was funny, the first 35 minutes in the Bengal free agency, people were losing their minds on social media. How come we haven't signed anybody yet? Patience. I don't think we're spending $80 million on a guard, guys. But we have upgraded our defense and we've upgraded that offensive line, and I don't think we're done yet. And then we still have the draft, guys. So pretty excited about the free agency. So we will dig into that tonight for sure. And on the screen, you see somebody missing tonight. James and his beautiful wife, Lori, are in downtown Indianapolis, big Syracuse fans. Big victory just now over West Virginia. Bobby Huggins' team goes down to James' team. And it's funny, we talked about this on social media. I think we have the Bengals inner circle, right? We got James Spink, Dan Horde, Emily Parker, Dave Lapham. I'm missing names. There's all those folks are Syracuse alums. So I know there's a lot of happy feet. And Jeff Hobson on with us tonight was also a Syracuse alum. So I'm sure Jeff's got a big smile on his face right now as well. So James is probably enjoying a drink with Lori, and there he is. James, do you have any shrimp cocktail?
No, we're just drinking here, celebrating the big win for the other team that wears orange.
Yes. Is Lori there with you? We got to see Lori.
Just having a good time. Tom's going to kill it tonight. The Bengals had a good first week of free agency, and all is good in Bengal land.
That's right, brother. That's right. Is Lori with you still?
You know what? It's loud in here. I can't hear you. Nobody wants to see me. I'm going to keep drinking. You guys enjoy the show, and maybe I'll be back next week.
All right.
Maybe.
We'll see you, buddy.
All right. See you guys.
I like how he says maybe he'll be back. Maybe.
His ass will be back, let me tell you. He literally was going to try to make it home from the game in enough time for the show. And then when they won, when they were winning late and they won, he called me and said, dude, if I go, I'm going to go live from San Elmo. So I need a drink and some shrimp cocktail to celebrate this victory. So congrats to Syracuse. Congrats to all the folks out there that I know that are diehard Cuse fans as well. All right, we got a trivia question. No prizes. Tom is wearing a former Bengals jersey. If you could show them the number, Tom. All right, number 75. And what I'd like people to do in the chat area, if you're able to, see if you can guess what number, who that jersey is. Number 75 for the Bengals. Looked like that was, what's the era? 80s, like late 80s, right?
Late 80s, early 90s.
Okay. All right. So,
Chad, I'll bring them up as they come up.
Yep. Type those guesses in.
Am I allowed to give a hint?
Yeah, give a hint.
Sam Weich once said he was the toughest football player he ever coached.
Okay. All right. I know there's a couple guesses in there already, so we'll pull up the correct one. It was not Max Montoya. You know what? Let's go ahead and get this over with already. Somebody already guessed it. There it is.
There we go.
Donald, congrats, buddy. You win.
Way to go, Donald.
We just get to put your name on the screen. That's your winnings right there.
All right. Also give a shout out to Brandon too. Brandon also got in there.
Good job, Brandon.
Right after.
Hey, Brandon knows. I knew Brandon would know it. That guy knows his stuff. So, all right, guys, I got to share something. So I bought this brand new green screen. I was so excited to use it. I was in Arizona last week, and we didn't get a chance to use it. But I have a green screen behind me, but something is kind of clipped to it. And so I'm not using my green screen officially tonight. So there's a very special backdrop tonight. And I would like Jamie, if you could, to play a very short video. And I want you guys to look at this, see if you can tell in the background.
They are crying around here saying, "Who Dey? Who Dey is the AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals." And to present the trophy, Mr. Lamar Hunt, the president of the AFC, to present the trophy to Mr. Paul Brown.
Thanks, Ahmed. 22 years ago, I made a visit to Cincinnati with a group of NFL people to study the possibility of expansion to Cincinnati. And Governor Jim Rhodes said there'd be a stadium over here by the river if we could put a team here. And sure enough, it's fitting today that this AFC championship goes to Cincinnati in that stadium. It's my great privilege to make the presentation to Paul Brown, to John Sawyer.
So, guys, I literally have goosebumps watching this video because that backdrop that you just seen Paul Brown and Lamar Hunt standing in front of is right behind me right now. I've had this for about a year. Good friend of mine gave it to me, told me what it was. We've been trying to find video of something that showed that backdrop. And what you see on your monitor, your screen there with Paul Brown and Lamar Hunt, I think that's Ahmad Rashad standing in front of that backdrop. I've got it in back of me right now. So, guys, I am, just like Tom, I love Bengal history and I love this stuff. But literally just imagine, like, in 1988, Paul Brown standing right in front of this same damn backdrop. I don't even feel worthy to even sit here in front of this thing. It's pretty cool, guys.
That is cool.
That's pretty damn cool. So, everybody, there's a lot of great Bengal collectors out there. And next week or the week after next, I'm going to introduce you to a Bengal collector that, I thought I had a lot of stuff, and I have a lot of stuff, unique stuff nobody else has, like this one-of-a-kind thing behind me. But we're going to introduce you to a Bengal fan probably next week, I hope. His name is Josh. I was over at his house last week. I've never in my life seen a Bengals collection like that. I will tell you, between me, Kim, and probably Holland, we got stuff for the hall. Tom, is that your dog?
That's Benzu barking.
But we're clearly not in a studio somewhere. This is definitely, if it's not my cat, it's Tom's dogs. That's the way it is.
Right. But the backdrop here is pretty cool, man. I between we do a segment next week or the week after next on Bengal memorabilia between myself, Josh, and Hollis. I tell you what, when the Bengals do a museum someday, they're going to have to pick through our stuff because wait till you see the stuff that Josh has. It's amazing stuff. So I spent probably 3 hours over his house looking through some things with him. Just such a cool thing. Such a cool thing. So, Tom, let's go ahead and talk. A couple save the dates things I want to talk about. So, Jamie, if you could pop up the June 19th event. June 19th event. So June 19th, guys, I know we talked about it last week, and we're going to really start pushing this as we get closer to June. But I want everybody to mark their calendars now. The main thing we want to focus on here is that 1 to 3 event. We're doing a rally at Canton, right next to the doors of Canton, in an event tent. We will have tons of players, either there or virtually. We will have, it's a free event, guys. We need bodies. We're going to have media there. We need every Bengal fan that can make it that day. You can go up there that day. You can go up there, spend the night if you want to, and come back Sunday. But it's going to be a rally from the jungle to the hall. It's going to be a Bengals rally focusing on 2 specific Bengals, Ken Riley and Ken Anderson. And we'll probably talk about some of these other Bengal greats that should be in the Hall of Fame as well. So on top of that event, there's some other ancillary things going on, guys. So you get discounted tickets on a link that we provided to everybody that we'll put again on social media. That link you can get $5 off tickets to the Hall of Fame, because after that event, that rally, we're going to go in the Hall of Fame and get our own tour. And then after the rally, we've got hotel rooms. After the tour, we got hotel rooms locked up 5 minutes down the road. It shares the same parking lot is Fathead Brewery, which has great food and great beer. And we'll go there, have dinner, have some drinks, head to the hotel room, crash, and then get up and leave Sunday morning. But I know people will be going up Saturday for the event and then leaving. The other thing that is available to you as well is that the coach from Massillon High School has worked it out where if you wanted to go get a quick tour from 10 to noon of Massillon High School, where it all started for Paul Brown, they've got a giant statue of Paul Brown in front of the football field. We're going to be able to go on the field. We're going to be able to go in their indoor practice facility, and they have their own small Hall of Fame there in the high school as well. So all those things are great things, but the one focus that we want to make sure we have are just getting bodies up to Canton. And I know Mans is coming up from Florida. I know we have people coming in from Detroit. I know we have people coming from upstate New York, Indianapolis, Columbus, Cincinnati. But I want to make sure we're marking these calendars, guys, because it is going to be a great event, and we're going to have a bunch of stuff there for everybody. And just stay tuned, but mark your calendars somehow if you can make it up there. Bring friends and family, whatever you can. It's going to be a big event, guys.
Yeah, can you guys write a letter for me so I can show at the border to get me across? Maybe
we'll figure something out.
On Bengals letterhead saying that I have to come down there for something.
Awesome. It looks like we've got a group coming up from Louisiana. AJ and the family might be there. So we have an event tent literally right next to the doors of the Hall of Fame, guys. So we're probably going to do a live remote from up there as well. We'll have our speakers set up and mics and everything. And I know Ken Riley, the second, will be dialing in. It was very clear that his family and him said, hey, we are not going to go inside that Hall of Fame until my dad is in that Hall of Fame. So I think it's a powerful statement. So we got a lot of stuff going on. So make sure you mark it. Go up there for a day trip if you want. Go up there and spend the night if you want. Whatever works best for you guys. Really looking forward to a big crowd. We're going to have some local and national media there getting some the word out on the injustice, basically, of our Bengals not being in the Hall of Fame. So, all right, Mark, save that date, 6/19, June 19th, and another date to kind of throw out to you, April 24th. We're still finalizing this right now. We're doing a Bengal fans pub crawl. And basically, it's going to be late morning, early afternoon, during the day. It's not going to be crazy, but we're going to invite anybody who wants to come down. We're going to identify probably 4 to 6 different bars around the downtown Northern Kentucky area. Holy Grail, the Blind Pig, maybe Knockback, Smoke Justice, maybe one of the rooftop bars down there. So we're still identifying specifically. We got some calls into some of these places. But mark it, April 24th. If you're in town, it's a Saturday. The Reds are out of town. Come on down and hang out with us, and we'll have more of a schedule out that will be at certain places at certain time. That way, if you can't be there at the beginning, you'll know where to meet us and by when. And I know Lisa will definitely be there. Lisa, we've done a pub crawl with Lisa before, so you want to come and check out and hang out with Lisa as well. She's great. So Tom, you got to make it. Now, Jamie would have to sneak across the border.
I'm missing out on all this stuff here, guys. We need to get those borders open soon. By home opener, hopefully. I'm crossing my fingers. Home opener.
All right. Well, let's go ahead. And what I want to do, we had 2 special guests on tonight, guys. And again, if you're just joining us, James is in Indianapolis, just got out of the Syracuse game and might be dialing in a little bit later as well. But we've got Kat Terrell in the waiting room right now. We'll bring her on here in a second. Used to write for the Bengals for 3 years for ESPN and now writes for the Saints. I think that's where she's from. We're going to run by one of our free agent pickups by Kat and talk a little bit more football. And we got Jeff Hobson. And, guys, I'm going to tell you, Jeff Hobson pretty much called what happened the first week in free agency. So he caught a lot of heat on the show that evening talking about defense. He said we need to upgrade the line, but defense. And they did exactly what he said they were going to do. They upgraded that defense and they upgraded that offensive line with that one pickup at right tackle. So we're going to talk to Jeff.
It's almost like he's employed by the team. It's crazy.
It's almost like he might be in Mike Brown's office and might hear some of this stuff, guys. Read between the lines sometimes. Jeff nailed it. He absolutely nailed it. So let's go ahead and bring on Kat if it's okay.
There we go.
Kat,
hi guys.
What's going on, girl? How you doing?
It's good to see you. I'm excited. I've never been on your show before.
I know. It's like I think you started. You were in Cincinnati for 3 years, I think, with ESPN before you went back down to New Orleans. But I don't think we really started a show before you left. You've been down. How long have you been down in New Orleans?
Wow. I've already been gone 2 seasons now.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, this will be season number 3 and really season number 8 or something. I don't know. I covered the Saints for a while before I covered the Bengals, and it all kind of blurs together at this point.
Yeah, Kat, it's really great you having it. You have been a great follow for a very long time on Bengals social media. You're awesome. Even though you're with the Saints right now, we still love you. But you did a hell of a job here for a long time. We thank you for everything because you've been a great follow for a long time on social media.
Well, thank you. I miss y'all. I wish I would have gotten a chance to come up to Cincinnati more this year, but not the easiest year. But there will be trips in the future. That's for sure. Because as I always say, Holy Grail is my office, and so I have to stop by and check on it pretty soon.
Yeah, I was just down there this past week on St. Patrick's Day, and Jim came up and said hi to everybody. So, great place. That's probably where we're going to start our pub crawl, Kat. Just to let you know.
I wish I could be there. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Hey, leave Scott's up there, Jamie. I'm just going to tell you. Go back to Scott. So Kat, I don't know. Maybe late last year we had Marissa Contepelli on the show, and we've had her on a few times. She's outstanding as well. And Jamie started the Marissa Contepelli fan club up in Canada. And we've got a gentleman from Scotland named Scott Gibb who absolutely adores you and could not wait for you to be on. I'm sure he's starting the Kat Terrell fan club in Scotland for you right now. So he was so excited you being on. So, and actually we got a lot of direct messages, Kat, as well, that people were real excited to get a chance to see and hear you tonight.
Oh, that's so nice. I was going to say, I think it's a small fan club, but
it's bigger than you think.
Very nice.
All right, so let's talk a little bit here. So we want to talk some New Orleans here. We want to talk some Drew Brees, but I'd really like to start off to get some insight, Kat. So the Bengals, we feel, at least I feel personally, that the Bengals had a pretty active and successful week 1 in free agency, and they've addressed some significant needs on defense already on offense. And hell, we're not done. They might have another pickup here before the end of free agency. So talk about this Trey Hendrickson guy. What kind of player are we getting here in Cincinnati from the Saints?
Well, it's interesting, first of all, just how much the Bengals have changed in the last 2 years. I mean, a few years ago, we all know they weren't hugely active in free agency except for re-signing their own. And, now I'm seeing the Bengals do contracts with voidable years, and it just shows that their outlook and how they approach free agency is vastly different than even when I was there, and it doesn't feel like that long ago. And that's why I was a little surprised to see them get Trey Hendrickson, just because I thought he might command more money than the Bengals would be willing to spend. But this is a guy that I know, just looking at his stats, it looks like, okay, he's a 1-year wonder so far. But actually, it's kind of the culmination of 2 years of him kind of being an ascending player. When I left Cincinnati and came back to New Orleans, they went to California for like a week of preseason, and so I'd only been back in New Orleans a week, and I get to California, and I don't know the players that well since I've been gone, and I see this guy, and I'm like, who is that? Like that guy is going to be really good. I mean, he caught my eye immediately through the preseason, and he only had 4.5 sacks that year, and he got hurt in the middle of the season, and this season he just blew up. So they're getting a super hard worker, a guy that hopefully is on the upswing, and I really think he'll be an interesting fit in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and in a position of need, obviously, for Cincinnati, somebody, an edge rusher that can get pressure on the quarterback, and obviously us letting Carl Lawson go. I mean, it doesn't seem like he's had a really significant injury history or anything like that. Kat, he's on the field constantly.
Yeah, I mean, nothing too crazy. I can't remember what the injury was the season before last. I think it was just something that kind of nagged at him in the middle of the season. And then he came off of this offseason. He and Cam Jordan were both rehabbing their own respective injuries. But, he came into this season, and I think people expected him to be the rotational guy because everyone, in New Orleans wants Marcus Davenport to be the guy because they traded up in the first round to get him, and you expect that out of your first rounder. But I mean, really, Hendrickson kind of proved from day one this season that he was the guy you don't really want to take off the field. And yet he only played half the defensive snaps and still had that kind of production. And I think that the Bengals are clearly going to want him to play more than that if they're paying him that much. So I'm so curious to see what he's going to do with this extended playing time this year.
Yeah, and Kat, let me ask you, and just as a quick reminder to everybody viewing right now, Kat, we have hundreds and hundreds of people viewing right now on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Any questions you have for Kat, go ahead and type them in the comment section, and Jamie will sort through those and pull those up for Kat to ask, okay? So let's talk about it, Kat. So you got different segments of Bengal fans, right? You got the negative core and the always positive core. So I'm going to try to play that middle of the road.
Right.
So a question from the negative segment would be like, the Bengals, they overspent on this guy. He was playing with too much talent around him, basically, that really helped him out. So what would you say to that? That they weren't really doubling him or doing anything because he had too much talent around him.
Well, I mean, yeah, you could always make that argument that Cam Jordan was doubled, and that's why Hendrickson had some success, but that's not the only reason. I mean, as Cam Jordan himself always says, okay, well, you have to win your one-on-one battles, and Hendrickson won more one-on-one battles than Cam Jordan did. So I get why people would be worried, but pass rushers don't come cheap. I mean, they just don't. Like, if you're going to sign anyone with any sort of experience, they're going to be a lot of money, and you're always going to take a little bit of a chance. I did a whole article about how pass rushers with 1 year of production, it is kind of hit or miss. But I would say on the other side, it kind of shows, hey, Cincinnati is willing to gamble a little bit instead of just going with the safe thing that they already know. So, yeah, I mean, I can make an argument for both sides, but I do think that Trey consistently won his one-on-one battles throughout the year. And, hopefully you're going to a third season where he's getting better. And he's still, I'm trying to think of how old he is. I think he's 26. I mean, he's young, so he's got some good years ahead of him.
Yeah, good stuff. So I think you alluded to it a little bit earlier. So the 3 years that you were covering the Bengals for ESPN, and then the last couple, and prior being with the Saints, now back with the Saints the last few years. So what do you see some of the differences? I don't know. I mean, between, from the outside looking at what the Bengals are doing now, what they were doing when you were there, and any differences between the organizations? Are they dramatically different?
Well, Marvin always told me he didn't like free agents. Now, I don't know if he said that because, they didn't have a history of spending on outside free agents, and maybe he just accepted it, or maybe he really did feel that way. He felt, or at least he told me, that he didn't like taking on players that had already players that already had problems that like other teams had instilled within them that they had to fix, if that makes sense. Yeah. When you're signing another team's player, you're kind of signing, it's always going to be a little bit of a gamble because they come from within a different system. You don't know if they're going to work out. And so it was a source of frustration for fans, as we all well know, that they just only seemed to sign their own and they were never going to make that big splash. Well, 2 years in, and yeah, they're signing free agents and sometimes it doesn't work out, but that's how it goes in free agency. I think it's actually way more fun to do that and maybe take a risk than not do anything at all. I mean, so that's one of the big differences. I think that it shows that they want to win. Before, they're never going to guarantee a lot of money in contracts, but they'd usually keep the player to the end of the contract kind of as a consolation thing to the agent, like, hey, we might not guarantee the money, but it's good as guaranteed. And that's not always a good thing. You don't always want to keep players at the end of their contract just out of loyalty. I mean, it's the business. And so now they're kind of falling in line a little bit more with how other teams are doing things, for good or bad. I mean, look, I cover a crazy team that was just $100 million over the salary cap. So it is two ends of the spectrum for sure.
Yeah, Tom, do you have anything? I got a bunch of stuff here, but I don't want to hog the conversation.
That's okay. Hey, Kat, I know you mentioned Marvin on his behalf. I'll poke a little fun at you for the cold weather.
He did love to do that. I actually got used to it.
Yeah. In regards to Hendrickson, Pat Kerwin from NFL Radio, who's maybe far from objective and seeing the positive side of things for the Bengals, he was somebody who very clearly said this is an upgrade over Carl Lawson. He said that he has a lot of athletic ability and he is a finisher when it comes to getting into the backfield and finishing off the sack. Is that the reputation he had in New Orleans?
Well, I think so. I mean, I actually think I always thought Carl Lawson was a bit underrated, because what people forget is like how even if they're not getting a sack, they help set up other people's sacks. But at the end of the day, I mean, it does come down to production, and I understand why you would compare those two numbers and maybe go with someone that you think can generate more sacks. I mean, I think that Hendrickson is a really good guy off the edge. I think his run production is okay, but it doesn't stand out in a negative way, which is good. So, yeah, I mean, 13.5 sacks kind of speaks for itself, right? The question is, can he repeat that on a yearly basis? And that's hard because double-digit sacks are so rare. Like, we don't think they're rare, but they actually are really, really hard to do.
He made a little money with this during last season with his production.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, a little bit. I think the Saints would have liked to have him back too. It's just they had this ridiculous cap situation and someone had to go. I don't think it was anything against him.
Right. So we have to ask you, Kat. I know at one point many years ago, Tom and I were talking about this, that Drew Brees was almost a Cincinnati Bengal, early in his career. But can you talk about Drew Brees right now, the atmosphere in New Orleans with Drew Brees retiring and everything else going on?
I mean, it was inevitable. We've all been waiting for it. Like, I thought he was going to retire weeks ago. And yet, when it happened, it still kind of felt like a chapter was closing. I mean, even as a reporter, I felt like that because I've covered Drew Brees through most of my 20s, except the years I left. I mean, so from 22 years old to 30, outside of the 3 years in Cincinnati, I covered the same quarterback. And it makes you feel very lucky, like the things you get to witness. It's how I felt when I covered AJ Green. Like, you're watching a really great player. Like it's I don't know, it's kind of an incredible thing to get to write about. So I think people are excited about the future, but yet people are sad because he was so much more than just on the field. He did so much for the community and the city, and he really turned how the fans view that team around. In 2005, it was kind of like the Saints were the laughing stock of the NFL. They had a few good years, but I mean, nothing really, and they've never been known for their offense. And then, they have this, horrible event happen to them, and Drew Brees comes along and Sean Payton and Reggie Bush, and suddenly the fans felt like they had a team they could be proud of. And I think that is kind of carried on all these years later. So it is the end of an era, but I'm excited. I mean, I've never covered a true quarterback competition, so this is going to be exciting for me.
That's going to be a fun year for you. Jamie, I know we have a question.
Yeah, actually, a segue into our first question. So Greg asks, do you wish you were still here covering the the Bengals drafted Joe Burrow? And further to that, it's like you stop covering the team, and then all of a sudden they start making these big splashes.
I know.
Agency. So a little bit of how does that make you feel, I guess?
Yeah, that would have been cool. I felt like when I got there, they had 4 LSU players, and the Saints never have LSU players ever. They have one on the team now, and it's like their first LSU player in forever. Actually, you know what? They don't even have one because they haven't re-signed him. So they had 4 players, and then all of a sudden, one by one, they're all gone. And I'm like, okay, well, cool. Like, they just cut all of my guys. And I actually was friendly with most of them. Like, I had a good relationship with LaFell. I had a good relationship with Whitworth. So I had a great relationship with Kevin Minter. He is an awesome guy. So yeah, when they drafted Joe Burrow, I was like, of course, like they take this quarterback from LSU that I would have loved to have covered right after I left. But hey,
you know what they were saying in the draft room, war room, and Paul Brown and Mike Brown and the whole front office. Like, Kat's not here. We can draft LSU players.
Yeah, we can have the LSU players back now. She's gone.
Is she gone?
But yeah, I watched from afar though. Like I want him to have success. I want the Bengals to have success. So I watched from afar. So when he got hurt, man, that was hard to stomach, as we all know.
Yes, it was.
But he'll be back. So.
Ex-Saint guard Larry Warford had a few good years with the Saints. Any opinions on him? Why was he released?
So the thing with Larry Warford is he had an okay year. However, he had some bad games. The playoff game against the Vikings was not great. They were attacking Breeze from the inside, and when you have a 41 at the time year old quarterback, you really got to make protecting him your number one priority. Although, I mean, I guess Cincinnati, yes, we all know that. You could say that about the young quarterback. So they felt like, I think there were some weight issues there too. They felt like they needed to upgrade in the interior and get more athletic. So they really wanted to draft an offensive lineman or a center, actually. Cesar Ruiz is supposed to be their center and didn't work out that way. So I don't think Larry Warford was bad. I just think they thought maybe they could get younger and more athletic. And I think he still has something to give for some team, especially since he didn't play last year. So, I mean, I could definitely see him coming and making a contribution.
Okay, I got one more here for you, kind of put you on the spot a little bit. But Tony the Tiger asks, is it who they or who dat?
Hey, hold on, Kat. Nobody's watching right now. There's nobody watching. Just share it with us.
I always say no comment to this one. I don't have an opinion.
I took a chance.
I don't want two different states mad at me.
Right.
Okay.
That's a no-win question. I'm sorry.
Can you at least say who they wants for us?
I don't cover the team, so who they?
Okay. All right.
There you go. I have a good picture of myself with Houday. It was like my Facebook picture for a while.
So, Kat,
we look like the best of friends.
Edit that clip. We'll cut that clip out.
I'm going to cut that clip up.
You're going to post it on the internet, and then everyone's going to be like, wow, she's rooting for the team, isn't she?
Kat,
You're supposed to be neutral.
I would never do that for you, I promise. But all right. So I know we told you 15 minutes. We're right at that 15 minutes, but I do have just a couple quick things. I love New Orleans, one of my most favorite cities ever. And I got two questions for you. Best place to get a beignet, Cafe Beignet or Cafe Du Monde?
Cafe Beignet, is that a thing? I like Cafe Du Monde, but there's a place in City Park that's actually pretty good. So I like Cafe Du Monde. It just has too many like tourists. So like I hate going there in the quarter unless it's like at night because there's like always a really long line. But it's a great experience for sure.
Yep, got to. If you're a tourist, you got to hit that place.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
you have to.
You got to hit Cafe Beignet, which is in like the Musical Legends Park, right on.
I've never been there. See, now I have a new place to go.
It's a great place. Well, the next question is: I have my three favorite places on Bourbon Street, and really, I don't like going to Bourbon Street as much because now that's where all the tourist people are, and I can get off. I can go to different places now in New Orleans. But what are your top three places on Bourbon Street, Kat? Because I want to see if I'm coming close to any of yours.
So I was thinking about this earlier. The obvious one is Pat O'Brien's. Everyone loves Pat O'Brien's. You got to hit the Piano Bar. I miss Pat O'Brien's. Haven't been there in a year for obvious reasons. So we always have a great time there. My second one is, I guess, technically like a few feet off Bourbon, but that's Aaron Rose. So I don't know if y'all have ever been there. It's very tiny, but it's this cool little Irish pub, and it actually has this like po' boy place in the back. The third one is super cheesy, but this is where we go if we want to feel really touristy and just have a good time. And that's Cat's Meow. I'm not going to lie. I love me some Cat's Meow.
I knew it.
It's a karaoke bar. It's cheesy. It's awesome. So I haven't been there in a year either. So all this stuff makes me sad.
Yep. Great. I've been to all those places, Kat. They're awesome. So my three real quick. I love just sitting, having a beer, listening to some jazz on Legends Park right there. Fritz's European Jazz Club right there.
I haven't been there.
Great place. And then at the very end of Bourbon Street, there's a place called Lafitte's. It's Lafitte's Black Shop. It's an old black. It's the oldest bar in New Orleans. And it gets this purple drink. It's good. Don't have more than one. Her sound went off. She's muted. You're muted.
She back with us?
Jamie, you're muted too. Jamie, you're muted.
I can't unmute from my side. It says that it's muted on her side. All right.
That's okay. That's okay. Kat, there you are.
There we go.
There you go.
Sorry, my headphones clearly hate me.
That's okay. That's okay.
Myself. But yeah, no, I love Lafitte's. I knew that's what you're talking about. I heard End of Bourbon, and I was like, oh, you must mean Lafitte's.
Lafitte's is awesome.
Yeah, that's fun.
Well, Kat, we appreciate. Thanks so much for taking time with us as somebody covering the Saints, and I know you still have a little. There's a place in your heart for the city of Cincinnati and the Cincinnati Bengals. I know, but we appreciate you being with us.
Jimmy, we just got a message through. Jeff Hobson says to tell her hi.
Yeah, Jeff Hobson's coming on right after you, Kat. Jeff said hello.
Oh, I say hi back, and I'm gonna have to watch his segment. But yes, I love Cincinnati. I miss it, and I hope that I get to spend some time there this summer when things hopefully are a little safer.
Kat, you call us. We'll buy the first drink for you.
I love it. I'm there.
All right, Kat. Thanks again.
Take care.
Thanks for having me on.
See ya. So, guys, great asset there, man. Just having her on to come on and talk to us, man. James and I were in the airport last week, coming back from Arizona. We're like, man, would it be great to get Kat on to talk about the free agency and talk about Trey with us a little bit. So that was good. That was good stuff. She's always
on the spot there, but I figured I'd take my shot with it. You never know.
Yeah, that's too funny. Yeah, she's a professional. She was never going to answer that question. So,
yeah. So we're not professional.
Let's go ahead and bring probably a very excited Jeff Hobson on. What about those cues?
How about that,
man?
You can never really relax with Bay at the controls, though. You have to be. He's blown more leads than most guys have coached in. So, but they got it done. So.
Yeah,
let's see what happens next week.
Yeah, Jeff, that's funny. So James, who's usually on with us every single week, was at the game. He was at what was the bar again? St. Elmo's, having a drink and eating some shrimp cocktails. So he might come on after you're done.
That'd be great. That'd be great. He can. I guess they're moving all around up there, right? They're in different gyms. I know. Buddy Boeheim. He shot the lights out of Hinkle. And he shot where they play, and he shot the lights out today, wherever they were. I think they were they at Bankers Arena today? I'm not sure.
Yeah, they were. They were downtown. Yep. So it was good stuff. Well, Jeff, first of all, thanks for coming on. We have a ton of folks viewing right now, but I just want to first of all give you kudos. I know you caught a lot of hell about back in January when you were on the show, and I asked you the question about what we're going to do, and I was so 100% focused on an offensive line. You stopped me and said, "Look, defense, right? We need a lot of help on defense, and and we need to upgrade the offensive line." So people didn't hear you say upgrade the offensive line, evidently, but they went 5 free agents this week. First week, wild week in free agency. 4 of those guys are going to be definitely starters on that defense, upgrades across the board, in my opinion. And then this offensive tackle, Riley Reef, that we picked up is an upgrade. They immediately cut Bobby Hart there as well. So, Jeff, I guess, first of all, kudos, brother. And just talk to us a little bit about, talk about some of these guys.
Yeah, I had no idea, Jim, what was going to happen. Nobody did. Nobody had no idea. I think, if they probably would have liked to have gotten a $40 million, $50 million guy. They were thinking about that. But, things kind of get spiraled out of control there. They had to get an edge rusher. I think they went in thinking, the salary cap had never been like this ever. Cut by $15 million, so nobody really knew what would happen. I think they also went in thinking, who knows, maybe we can get 2 edge rushers for like $10 million each. Who knows? Because who knows where the market is going to be. But they found out right away the market was going to be the market no matter what. There was, the edge rushers were going to go for $60 million. And so they figured we better get one and they got one. And I think getting Reef, I think they felt like, given that we need to upgrade so many spots, we're not going to be able to just get two guys, like an edge rusher and a Thuney. So I think they dropped the big money on the edge rusher, and then they went and got a lineman that they knew they could take without killing their cap. And Reef was their guy, I think, was their guy all along, because they saw him as a veteran, a guy they could stick on the right side of the line and be an upgrade. But he also gives them a little bit of flexibility too. He can move into guard if he had to. And, there's so that doesn't take Sewell off the board at 5 or anybody in the draft, really, for that sake, because there's two, there's the offensive line is that's a pretty deep crew there at tackle and guard. You're going to be able to get a guy, I think, in a tackle in the first or second round, and maybe a guard in the second or third. So I think the big thing with these guys is they're young. I mean, except for Reef, the 4 defensive starters, there's nobody over 27 years old. And I think that, but yet they've all played a lot of ball. I mean, Hilton and Hendrickson are proven players that get to the quarterback. You can say Hendrick's a 1-year guy, I guess, but I think when he's been on the field, he's been pretty productive as far as getting to the quarterback. Hilton is the best corner at the game at getting to the cornerback by a lot of stats. And the guy who I think is, and I'm going to mispronounce Larry's name here, so forgive me. I'm going to call him Larry O. But coming from Cleveland. But here's a guy who in 18 and 19 had, combined, he had 5.5 sacks each year. So I think if you and I'm not sure what happened up there in Cleveland last year. There were people who thought he was really going to take off. It didn't happen, but I think, judging from what Larry said on his Zoom, he's not going to be playing nose tackle. He's going to be playing next to Reeder. I think he feels more comfortable as a 3 technique. So, if he gets back to, 5.5 sacks, 6 sacks, I mean, that's huge for a team that, the last 3 years has been last in the league and generating sacks. So that's what I like about those 4 defensive starters. 3 of them are proven pressure guys, and they're young. They're young. They're going to be here for a while.
Yep. Yeah, Tom, I know I've got a bunch of other stuff here, and I know we have a lot of questions popping up. So just to remind everybody, if there's any questions you want to ask Jeff, go ahead and type those in the comments, and Jamie will sort through those, and we'll get those to Jeff and get him to answer some of those. So, Tom, I know you had a few.
Yeah, Butch, first off, is the feeling down there? I know I kind of going across the defensive backfield that they may have, even with losing William Jackson III, maybe overall upgraded the position there, especially in the slot.
Yeah, I think there's a sense Hilton is a guy that can do a lot of different things, Tom, and I think they like Woozy. I think because of I'm going to call him a Woozy. It's probably not the proper pronunciation, but he did say that was okay though. I guess
Woozy or Woozy, whatever.
Yeah. I'm probably going to call him Woos, but I don't know him well enough yet. But he's a reliable guy, and I'm not saying William is not reliable, because I thought he was a good cover corner. But so is this kid. I mean, this kid has comparable numbers to William. And he's a year and a half younger, and I think William signed a Trey Waynes-ish like deal with Washington, whereas they were able to get Woozy and Hilton for basically, I think William cost $6.5 million against the cap this year. I think Woozy and Hilton are going to combine for $8 million, I think. So that's some pretty good. That's not only did they upgrade. I think they got bang for their buck there. Which was I'm not sure they knew they could do that at the beginning. I think they did. I credit them, because on Monday, and it seems like it was about 85 years ago, but on Monday, you really weren't sure how this thing was going to go and who was going to go. What you saw it evolve in the first 12, 16 hours. The wide receivers stayed on the board. The corners came off quick, and I think they were on these 2 guys early and liked them right away. Those were those 2 guys. They liked those 2 guys. Those were the 2 guys they liked, and they got them. And so I think that's. I think you're right, Tom. I think you look across the board; they've upgraded there, and that's no shot at William Jackson, who's a good player, but given the economics and adding Hilton, I think it is an upgrade.
Yeah, pretty exciting stuff. So Jeff, let's talk about I was at fans losing their minds the first 45 minutes into the free agency period, Jeff. Right, so you got to give this time and be patient through some of this. And those same fans that were going nuts are now pretty excited about things, right? So we possibly might not be done in free agency, right? So I could be wrong on this, Jeff. There's about $22 to $23 million left under the cap. I know they're not going to spend all that. I know they need room there, but do you think there's still possibility for some moves this week?
I think they're going to do what they can, but I think they're pretty up to. I think they're pretty up to the brim right now. I mean, I think they'll try and get some guys in here on some economical deals, but I think they've added $30 million to the cap, and they still need room for. They're going to have to sign their rookies, which is going to be, I think they're thinking on about $11 million. They're going to have, they want to leave a pad for injuries, which they always do. So I think they've got a little bit of room, but not much. I don't see anything major, but I do see them adding with maybe not, with not big name players, but adding guys they've got their eye on. I know they've got their eyes on guys who are still with teams who they're anticipating are going to be cut. So yeah, I don't think we're done, Jim. I just don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be a big number. But I don't think they're done at all. I think they'll continue to add. I think it's just going to be. It's probably it's not going to be a big price tag.
Yeah, I think the last time we had you on back in January, Jeff, you really made a solid point, right? You can't fix all these holes in one free agency. We need people to stay healthy from last year. We need to fill some holes in free agency and have a pretty damn good draft here as we get closer to it. I think they've done a good job this week. And even if they don't get anybody else, they had a hell of a free agency this year at this point. So
yeah, I mean, I agree. And I think they had one last year. I mean, yeah. I think they've done it, for a team that supposedly, is tentative and does all this stuff. I thought they came out, I thought they came out of both of them as best as I think they probably could have thought they did. But like you said, they got to stay healthy. Wayne's never took a snap, and Reeder didn't make 200 snaps. So right. if they can get those guys, just those two guys, and then add on those other guys, I think that's very interesting. I think it will help. It will help Burrow as much as drafting a guard or adding another tackle.
Right. So I guess one more question before we go. We got a bunch of questions popping up. Just as a reminder, make sure you guys type in any questions you want to Jeff, and we'll get to those just here in a second. But one more question I had for you, Jeff, before we get to the viewers' questions is, it's kind of a double-edged sword here, right? So we have AJ Green moving on and Geno Atkins moving on. So talk about the impact of those guys. What great, outstanding careers these guys had, both of them potential Hall of Famers even. So talk about that.
Yeah, great individuals. I mean, I think Geno's a potential first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a no-brainer, I think, whether he goes in the first year or second year. He's a no-brainer. He'll be in there, deservedly so. Geno also left a big mark in the community. His Atkins week of giving during Thanksgiving was really a huge help in the community, and was really big this year. He and his wife Kristen helped focused on people with the pandemic, and he was I think he was their nominee for the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year award. So Geno's going to be missed on and off the field, and AJ, AJ's I put him on the cover of my book for a reason. I think he not only a great player, but and I wrote this when he left. I thought he set the tone for when Marvin Lewis did his reboot, and basically started over with with Carson. There was a lot of question marks surrounding this organization that off season with Carson asking for a trade. They were off a 4-win season. They went with a rookie quarterback with no training camp. You talk about this year with Joe Burrow, Andy Dalton and AJ Green didn't have a training camp. They had a training camp, but didn't have a spring. They didn't have a string, and they did what Joe didn't get that they did get, where it was a preseason. But they also they couldn't talk to a coach. At least Burrow could talk, and those guys could talk to their coaches. Dalton and Green couldn't talk to their coaches until they showed up. And I thought that not only was, and AJ was clearly the best player, but yet the way he carried himself, this team had come off a stretch too where there was a lot of drama, well, that was the last thing that AJ was, and he was the way he carried himself, I thought, was how that team carried itself, and that's how that team went about business. There was no drama. They were low profile, but they went to the playoffs 5 years in a row, most successful stretch in club history. And a lot of the reason I thought had to do with it was AJ, the way AJ carried himself and his personality, and how that kind of, he was the face of the team, the pulse of the team.
Yeah.
So before we jump into the viewer questions, I have a quick question, Jeff.
Sure.
So this is 2 seasons now in the off season that we've watched the Bengals make some splashes in free agency. Is the feeling around this team that this is the new direction of the Bengals going forward?
I just want to say, Jamie, I think Bobby Orr just celebrated his 74th birthday, which should be a national holiday in both Canada and the United States.
I agree.
But anyway, I think they were doing this. This is something that's been in motion, and to me, this it's a good question, because I think this free agency, this past week, I think is kind of a line in the sand now. Like you said, 2 years in a row, heavy into free agents now. I think there are 13 players left from the previous coaching regime. I think there are 4 players left who were, actually 3 players left who played in the 2015 wild card game, which is a significant moment in the way things have gone. There are 3 guys left from that team. Actually 4, but Trey Hopkins, I don't think he played in that game. But it was, CJ, Clark Harris, Giovanni Bernard. That's it who played in that game. So to me, that's we're there now. We're there. This is the new chapter. And it was before, but I think this was this puts the exclamation point on it. You've got 1 starter, I believe, from the 2018 finale, and I believe that's Jesse Bates. I believe so. That's and of course Burrow is his own story. So
yeah,
you're right. This is what you want to be.
Yeah, hey, JP, I'm sorry. I gotta add on to that. I'm sorry. I know we're trying to get to the viewer questions here. I'm sorry, Jeff. To add on to add what Jamie was saying, I mean, ideally, you want to be in a position as a team and as an organization where you've got a solid starting core on both sides and some depth, where you don't have to participate in free agency the way the Bengals are right now, right? Because at one point for many years, the Bengals roster was really deep.
Right. Yeah, I mean they signed their own.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's where they want to get. That's where they want to get back to. I think, but I think with Burrow, they're ahead of the game than more than half the teams. I think. I mean, there are a lot of franchises, and you probably put Pittsburgh in this too. They really don't know what the future is with their guy. Now they got Ben for this year, but there are a lot of teams that really don't know what's going to happen this year or what. So they've got to take advantage of that, not only financially, which I think they are doing with the rookie quarterback's salary. I think they are taking advantage of that, but they also have to take advantage of on the field. When they meet these teams that are struggling at quarterback, they got to beat them.
Got it.
All right, we got a bunch of questions here. I'll hop right in. How will the Hendrickson contract affect the upcoming Hubbard negotiations?
I don't think nothing. I mean, I think they're gonna try and redo Sam. No matter what, no matter who they had signed. So I think Sam's their guy. Sam's obviously their guy for the future. They sat him with Burrow when they were recruiting Riley Reef. So I think Sam will be just. I think that Sam's obviously a big guy on their list, as is Bates.
I have a lot of people asking this question. Do you think the Bengals look at Turner or Watkins?
Yeah, it's a good question. These are just some of the guys that I think are appearing out there. I don't see a Damon. I don't see, like I said, I don't see a big deal, but I think these are the type of guys they're probably looking at to see if they can do something that can, do something economically. How they see these guys, I'm not sure. With the guards, I think they wanted to make sure that if they were going to spend a lot of money on a guard, they wanted to make sure that he was that much better than what they had. They just didn't want an average guard. They wanted to take a step up, and I'm not sure that was out there. Now, as this thing evolves, we'll see. But I think these. Those are two good names to throw out there because that's kind of who, those obviously catch your eye. But like I said, they've already dropped 30 on the cap, so
right.
It's going to have to be tight sledding.
All right, let's say the draft is tomorrow with the current roster. Who's our pick at number 5 without trading?
Got to be the big fella, I would think. Sure. I mean, I don't. Will he be? I'm afraid he's not going to be there.
Yeah.
Then if he's not there, what do you? Then what do you do? I guess it's Ja'Marr. I guess Ja'Marr Chase. What if he's not there? Well, you want to trade back, right? I mean, I wouldn't mind. I'm sorry. I didn't see what that guy's name was. I think it looked familiar. The name. Sorry about that. But I think, yeah. Andre, how you doing? I think that what I would do, I think they're in a good spot to trade back to 9. I'd love to trade back to a club looking for a quarterback. Carolina at 8. That'd be great. Slip back to 8, get their pick in the second round. Bang, maybe you get Farley, the corner from Virginia Tech, and then you get an edge guy and a tackle high in the second round. A lot of edge guys and tackles around in the first and second round. But yeah, it's got to be the big fella, I would think. Will he be there? That's because he's probably going to be the first non-quarterback taken, I would think.
Yeah.
All right. Why is there a holdup on signing Quinton Spain? He filled in well. Appears that he could be a backup in many positions or starter at guard. Anything?
You are absolutely correct, and I'm not sure what the deal is there. I'm sure they'd like him back. I would think they would like him back. But remember, you got a new offensive line coach too. So let's see how that's a factor. But yeah, I think everybody liked the way that Spain played, and they probably like to get him back.
All right, I got one more. This is a long one, but I think this is a great question, especially seeing how what our guest was talking about last week. The pandemic showed many professional teams how important and powerful social media is. Are you excited for the big push there? And we will expect more posts regarding any and all Bengal moves moving forward.
Oh yeah, I expect that social media to really take an even bigger push than it has. With the help of Burrow, who seems to be social media gold, but with Elizabeth Blackburn and Seth Tanner and Emily Parker, we got a great staff. Michael LaPlaca, Sam Schwartz, and Marissa Contepelli. As you know, that you've got is it Jamie who has her poster there, right?
Jamie, he's the president of the Marissa Contepelli Canadian Fan Club.
So we got a big league club there, So we got a big league club there. There it is. Okay. So I think the folks are doing a great job down there, and I think they'll continue to do so. And that's exciting. Big time numbers. They like to bang us for being a small market, but from what I can see and read, we're putting up big market numbers. You would expect nothing less from our fans, because our fans they're the greatest, and not surprising to me, because these fans always respond and always have.
All right, we'll finish off with one more from Keith. How do you feel about a 17-game season?
Fabulous. I hope it gets to be 18. But, obviously you got to think about the players too, who I know are worried about, that's another 4 quarters of wear and tear and of the safety issue. I'd like, it's great for us. It's great for the media. It's great for the fans because there's nothing like an NFL game. And to have another one is, that's just something to savor. But the guys have to play it. They got to get ready for it, So I'm all for it. I think everybody is, right? Because it's, the more the merrier. But the guys do go through, the demanding game. It's a tough game. And it's I'm glad to see the 17th game here, but I also got high regard for the players who have to go through that. It is it's the toughest it's the toughest sport in the world for a reason.
Yep. So Jeff, it would be a question I think we have to ask, right? So Randy Bullock going to Detroit. Huber's contract. Kind of, what's your thoughts on those two positions right now with the team?
Well, I think they're looking. I don't think they know apparently if they're going to sign Huber because they would have by now. I think they want to. But I think they have to be prepared if they can't sign him. So they're looking. They're talking to everybody. Obviously they're going to bring in somebody here, obviously to compete with Siebert, I would believe. So, it's going to be interesting. Usually this, Darren Simmons is the best special teams coach in the game. Been here since 2003, perennially in the top 12. And but he's always had, he's had this great core of, he's had basically two punters. He had Kyle Larson and he had Huber. That's unbelievable. That's amazing. And he's really only had three kickers, right? He's had Cram, he's had Nugent, he's had Randy. And he's basically had two long snappers. So they've been so consistent at those three spots. I think that's a reason why they've been so good on teams. So this will be an interesting year. They've got Clark, but I hope Hughes comes back, but that certainly will be interesting. I think you'd have to say we're going to have a kicking competition in camp. I would think, no matter that's always fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So
it's a big challenge for the media covering that thing because we got to figure out what's good. It's kind of hard. That's not easy. You think it's easy to tell what's good, but when you're standing from the side, sometimes you can't tell if that thing's good or not.
Yeah.
Did you have a question?
Quick one. When Boomer Esiason came back in 1997, I remember him saying that he was completely convinced because you broke the story with the Inquirer that you lived underneath Mike Brown's desk. So I'm wondering if you can give us an update of anything you've heard on Joe Burrow, Trey Hopkins, and DJ Reader.
Yeah, at times of I probably it's tough. It's tough to get info. It gets tougher and tougher to get information. But I kind of given the restrictions of COVID, I really can't wander. I'm known as one of the great wanderers of the building, of course, because trying to forage for information, So that's a bit frowned upon. And of course, given my age and my asthma, I'm not looking to delve to where I shouldn't go. So no, but from what I understand, I think Zach was I don't think there's any red flags with Burrow. I think he's doing well. Nobody ever doubted that he would do what he was have to do. I hear Trey's doing well. All these guys, Uzama. I talked to CJ. He says he's ready to go whenever they can start going, and nobody knows when that's going to be. But he'll be ready to go. Trey's got a Nick Cosgrave, the rehab guy. Has a great record with ACLs of getting back offensive linemen. I remember Cliff Bowling for one came back. So, sounds like Trey's doing well. Sounds like Joe's doing well. So, and if you know all those guys, that's not a surprise because they're pretty. Joe's a gym rat, so he's probably at home. And I know a rehab's tough, but he's a grinder. He prides himself on being a grinder, and there's nothing like grinding like in rehab. So I would expect when he said he was going to be back for the opener, I don't doubt him.
Yep, with you. Jeff, man, we appreciate your time today, but I know we told you about 20 minutes to half an hour. We're right at the half an hour right now, but I do have one more question. I thought it was interesting. Ryan Finley, the trade there, I think they were just going to, don't know, I think it was Ryan Finley, right, that we sent to the Texans, and we swapped picks. We moved up 30 spots.
Something, yeah, that's right. I think so. I think that I haven't seen a report on that, but I think it's a late pick.
Yeah.
It moved up, I think, in the 6th, right?
Yeah, something to that. Moved up 30 spots, something to that effect. So,
yeah, I think that I think that when they signed Allen, I think it was pretty clear that who they were comfortable with, and he was their second guy. So it'll be, which also strikes me too. Which that also to me is an indication that Joe's coming along fine. You're not gonna, I think that would tell me that Brandon get the bulk of the snaps until they feel like Joe's ready to go. Because if they didn't feel like Joe was on the timeline, they would imagine they would have kept Finley. But to me, that shows that Joe's doing fine.
Yep. Well, Jeff, we will be watching you and following you on Twitter and social media and retweeting and posting, and great resource this past week for us. So we appreciate everything you're doing.
Well, guys, thanks for what you're doing. I know you guys have become a big hit. You're the rage. You guys are hot. You guys are hot right now. I know you did. Congratulations on the show on the 81 team. I know that was
fun.
That was a big hit, and keep up the good work. Keep up the good success, and hope to join you guys again soon.
Absolutely, brother. It means a lot, Jeff. Have fun this week, man. We'll see you.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you. Man, he's just a wealth of knowledge, guys.
Yeah, he's the ultimate resource. So I'm really happy to have Jeff on. That was fun. That was fun.
I'm not as panicked as his last visit.
Yeah, it's funny though. Like he called it. He
nailed it.
I remember I monitored the comments during the show live. A couple guys were asking why I look so serious on the show. So I'm reading comments constantly while the show's going on to try and find your questions, put up on the screen. But man, he was getting roasted in our comments because everyone's so focused on fixing the offensive line, protect Joe. Even the team comes out and says they want to protect Joe, and the first 5 moves they make is on the defensive side of the ball. So, but he called it, and in our little group chat that we have, I know you, Jimmy, were telling us all just to relax, trust the process. And then we made the moves we need to make for the offense.
I knew that first day was going to be just miserable on social media. I knew it.
Yeah, not a good day to be a Bengals fan that day, for sure.
All right, so let's go ahead and close this out. James, he's probably like 5 bourbons in right now. Lori's driving him home for sure. He's probably eating a leftover shrimp cocktail in the car on the way back home. So let's go ahead and close this out. Tom, what's your closing thoughts here?
Big week, a great week of improvement for the team. Like Jeff said, I don't know what his definition of a big deal is, but I would not be surprised if this week we get another piece or two. And then they need a lot of depth all over the roster. So, but no, I think that management needs to be congratulated on how they rebounded and how they handled immediately. Losing Carl Lawson, getting somebody in. At worst is I'm hearing maybe slightly under Carl. At best, I've heard a couple experts say maybe a little better. So, and the defensive, like I said, the cornerback position, like Jeff said, a little bit better. And we're clearly better on the offensive line already. So I think a very successful first week and a lot more to come.
Yep. Jamie?
Yeah, I think we're a better team than we were a week ago. I'm excited to see. I'm actually really excited to see the guys that we got last year in free agency who didn't have a chance to play due to injury. So I think people forget we didn't get to see a lot of these guys. So it's going to be a whole new team out there this season. I'm excited for it. And I missed James's energy on the show tonight. So hopefully James, I don't know. I don't follow basketball, but I'm assuming that they keep going. Does Syracuse keep going in tournaments?
Next week. Next
Sunday, and he can join us. Miss having you on here, buddy, and we'll see you next week.
Yep.
We'll see him soon.
Yep. So again, congratulations to Syracuse and all the Bengal fans that I know are love the orange on Syracuse as well. Marissa Contepelli, Dave Lapham, James Spink, Dan Horde, I'm missing names, but Jeff
Melvin Tootin.
That's right. Melvin Tootin. Great day. I don't think I don't think they were expecting a win today, but they got a good one there today. So I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if we actually upgrade and get one more player this week. I think there's going to be an opportunity to sign a guard. That will be an upgrade. And I think that's going to be their focus this week in free agency. We will see. I do want to say thanks every week for watching, everybody. I will tell you that that last week's show was our second most viewed show in the past year. We had the Super Bowl 16 special that had, I don't have the numbers in front of me, it was like 8,000 to 10,000 viewers between all three social media platforms. Last week was the most viewed on our YouTube page. I think we had 2,600 views on YouTube. Guys, you don't know how much it means to all of us on the screen and James that you guys are taking time out to follow, subscribe, and watch the show. Like the moniker says there, this is by the fans, for the fans. You're part of this just like we are, and it means a lot every week. And tonight, the guests were awesome. Kat and Jeff are just great people and genuine and very insightful. Next week, I've got some calls in. I'm waiting on two. We will see if I get a response on one of them. I'm really hoping comes through. It's going to be a blast if I can get this individual on here. We will have some fun with that. Also, just a reminder, save the dates. April 24th, Cincinnati Bengals fan pub crawl, downtown Cincinnati. Stay tuned for that. Make sure you keep those dates open on April 24th. And on June 19th, guys, I am hoping Bengal Nation can come together and show out up in Canton, Ohio. It doesn't matter if you're at that 10 o'clock event at the high school or you stay the evening, with us. The big focus is that 1 to 3 o'clock time frame, the rally in the event tent right next to the doors of the Hall of Fame, guys. It is going to be outstanding. We're going to have local, national media there. We're going to have former players there. There's a very real possibility Munoz will be present with us, and there'll be some players that we dial in because we will be doing a show remotely. June 19th, make sure you get there, friends and family. Come up and join us. It's going to be a blast, but we need to show the nation and the senior voters in the Hall of Fame how serious we are as a fan base about our legends that should be in the Hall of Fame, especially Riley and Anderson. Guys, we appreciate you viewing. Thanks again, everybody. We will see you next Sunday. Hoo day. Let's have another great week in free agency.
Hoo day.
Cheers.